Hello, my friends, and welcome to another pick a card reading. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm sorry if the volume on the last reading was a little bit low. I'll make sure that I speak a little bit louder now, and hopefully my mic will be working properly. So, so today we'll be doing a reading on what spiritual gifts are you discovering right now. I feel that there's a lot of people coming into their power at the moment. So I thought that this might be a nice way for us to really think about what are our spiritual gifts and what are we discovering about ourselves in this new kind of time. There's also quite a powerful transit going on with, I think it's Chiron in the North Node or in the South Node at the moment. And that's really seeming to trigger people's healing, personal healing journeys, and also in terms of helping others to heal too. So as you just saw, while I was talking, I picked some cards. Now, these will be what your choices are. Let's see what crystals I have around to work with this. I think for pearl 1 we'll have the Agni magnetite or magnite, I think it is the Agni stone. Basically that's this stone here. For pile 2 I think we shall have this blue falcon's eye. And for pile 3, if I can get it, will be this Unakite. So pile 1 with the Agni magnetite, I think it's called, but it's Agni stone. The blue falcon or the falcon stone, falcon's eye. And pile 3, the Unakite. Pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Timestamps will be in the description box below, my friends, and I'll see you at your reading. Bye. Pile 1, hello and welcome to your reading. So you chose this Agni mantite. Agni mantite, that's what it's called. Now this is what is known as a pseudo tektite, which means that it looks like a tektite, which is a meteorite stone, but it actually isn't. It's also quite see-through, so it's a little bit moldavite as well. Like it feels and looks like that. It's also quite light, but actually it's a form of obsidian. So what I'm getting here is the ability to transform into something that may be perceived as something else in order to conceal oneself. That might be the attribute that's coming through in terms of your psychic gifts and powers. You know, this idea of transformation, this ability to be able to conceal oneself in a certain situation where it may be beneficial or, you know, kind of life-saving in a way. I think in this day and age, we're put in situations where you don't know what people's motives are, and you really have to be careful. Now, I do know a lot in the, and it's literally, I've had this conversation just before I started this reading, that there is a lot of love, light, and happiness around on the spiritual circuit. And with everything, as with anything, there is good and bad. There is light and dark. There is, you know, there are polarities. I'm a hermeticist, so I believe in the laws of polarity. So you can't have one exist without the other. You cannot have chaos without order, order without chaos, vice versa. So, you know, you need this kind of like understanding that not all situations are safe for you to be in. Just like, for example, a organism that survives in a highly acidic space it will be a hostile environment for it to be in an alkaline environment. So it doesn't mean that it's like an intentional, like we want to destroy everything. It just happens to be hostile. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just that the environment is not correct for it. So what I'm getting from this is that you are developing some kind of spiritual superpower or some kind of like spiritual gift, psychic gift that enables you to travel between these spaces where it may be hostile for you or not easy for you to move freely in. Does that make sense? So, and we need these powers, we need these things, because sometimes you might go into an environment, say for example, if you go into a space where, if you identify as a female and you go into a space where there are many people who identify as a male, and you need to come across in a way that, makes men not feel, affronted by you, or like, others affronted by you, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's that energy I'm getting. Wow, separation. Okay. So that's 50, 20, that's 70. Okay, so so it's quite I mean, you're almost having to like do this out of necessity, out of a need to distinguish between yourself and the others. It could even be like a person who is in a toxic family situation, and they may be having to show themselves in a way that might be, a way that isn't true to them. They may be thinking, okay, right, we need to I need to behave this certain way within this situation in order to make sure that I don't aggravate anything. Does that make sense? I think that's what's coming across here. Because what I'm seeing here, even though these are not doves, they're birds, which is interesting. I did see doves, but now I'm thinking that they're more like seagulls. I'm just going to quickly check the book to see what it says, what they are, if they say what they are. But the idea is that both have just as much value as the other. Even though one situation may be toxic, it is serving a purpose, whatever it is. So it may be integral to that particular thing, and also it creates a body to separate from. So it's almost like you can't distinguish what you are without that, it's almost like you need the thing that you're different from in order to be different. Does that make sense? So, and it's really interesting because once we know that we're really different from this thing, then we can kind of really focus on how we can accentuate our difference and be strong in that. It's the sword. It says it's the great alchemical operation of the sword, where it occurs when substances are pulled apart for their higher good, either willingly or unwillingly. I'm just trying to think. Atom splitting are expressions of separatio. Swords and knives, battles, rebellions, breakups, and all sorts. I will survive is a good thing to listen to. I'm trying to see. It doesn't say anything about the birds, really, what they are. But this idea of separating is definitely a good thing. So it could also be that you have learned how to cut things out of your life that you don't need anymore. Agape, wow. Okay. So that is the wisdom to know the difference, truthfully. That's the wisdom to know what's going on and to know what's happening. Bear with me 1 second. And agape is reminding you that putting your own, like putting the idea that the greater good is at work here is going to be what helps you to, it's going to help this cut be a lot more easier. Like it's going to help you to It's going to help ease the pain of the cut, because you're almost going to understand why it's being done. And this often happens with spiritual transformation, which I'll be honest with you, my loves, like when you're looking at something like an attainment of a spiritual gift or a psychic kind of power, it does usually involve something like this. It involves maybe some kind of like crisis occurring. There is such a thing as spiritual crisis. Do go and Google it, look it up. There are plenty of really good books that are written on it. And also good scientific papers written by some big people that are within the industry. I've got a very good book, actually. I think it's called, I can't even see it from my bookshelf, but it's amazing. And I might put it in the show notes if you want me to. Give me a shout if you want to know what the book is, and I'll find it for you. But you know, I mean, so for example, I'll give you an example. My friend, a friend of hers started going through deep spiritual psychic awakening. Well, actually, he went through a massive crisis of his personality. So he'd gone into like deep psychotic episodes, and then he thought he was going through a breakdown, but actually he realized he was going through some kind of breakthrough, and then ended up starting to get visions that propelled his trading career, that caused him to take risks in places where he wouldn't have normally have done it. So, and he ended up becoming very wealthy from that. He gets them like lightning bolts of visions, and they tell him what to do and tell him how to do things. So it's really interesting. But, you know, some people might interpret that as something else, like as some kind of, like, it's a destruction, it's a crisis. Okay, you've got Venus, love. So I've got a feeling that this may be a lack of you being able to find what you're able to connect with, what you really love. Another one wanted to pop out. And we've got Libra. That's really interesting because Venus also rules Libra. So there's something about justice and fairness that you're looking for and wanting to kind of express within this. It may be a defiant act against it may be a defiant reaction in respect to some type of injustice that's happened, which we'll find out with the tarot cards, which I think I'll do first before I pull any more oracle cards. You know, whenever I do with this area, the psychic realm, it's quite elusive, should I say. It doesn't come clearly. And because my own personal superpower is to do with perception, it's kind of, yeah, it takes me a while, so sorry. Yeah, I just want 4. Okay, right, so we have got the 7 of Swords, which is reversed. The 10 of Wands, okay. And then we have 21, the universe, which is, yeah, which is the world. Oh, all right, so you want 5, all right. And then the 8 of Swords, and then we have the Knight of Wands. I mean, okay, this is some kind of burden. It feels like a burden. It feels like something that was a burden, and now you're looking for freedom in a way. And as I said before at the very beginning, I think that those who have almost some really intense trauma, or I might have said this in a conversation to someone just before I said this in the reading, but usually those who have intense experiences, for example, high levels of trauma when they were younger, or have gone through a big experience like the person that I mentioned in the example, went through a total breakdown of personality and also sense of self, and then have this incredible spiritual awakening. I think that's what's going on here, because we've got the King of Fire here. And there's a real sense of being bound up and having to adhere to some kind of responsibility and feeling tied down with this responsibility. But now the time has come for you to break free from that. It still shows me that you are still bound within that, and it is going to take something, but I think there's a realization here that you need to rise up in a way. You need that, like, you doing this breakaway is actually more powerful for you than it is to stay. I don't think you are, and like, I don't think you're in any position to be able to be sitting within the kind of stagnancy of being where you were. You're ready to move on. This cycle is over, and you know that you have to move, and it's almost like you can see yourself bound. You can see yourself bound, and you can almost see yourself where you want to be, but you know that you can't. You have to be something else. So it's almost like a sense of transformation that's going on, which I said initially, but it's not as clear cut as transformation. Oh, I'm transforming into a new sense of person. It's not. It's you have to do it for a reason. It could, like, you know, if you really want to go to like something quite dramatic or like on the next level scale, it could be that you're having to take on like a different personality in order to survive within a situation. And it's understanding that this isn't your personality and really claiming the differences between the two. Does that make sense? I wasn't anticipating this to be this deep, but it is. Can I have some clarification, please? I don't know why I thought that. I'm talking about psychic gifts. Psychic gifts, they're always born out of like real intense stuff. They're never a like fluffy ride, are they? Okay, what's turned over? So we've got the Ace of Trees, which is the Ace of Pentacles. Brilliant. Then we've got the Four of Lotuses. That's the Four of Cups. Then we've got the Eight of Lotuses, which is the Eight of Cups. Brilliant. Then we've got this one here, which is the Peacock reversed, which is the Empress reversed. Okay. And then we have the Two of Trees. Okay. Yeah. This, I mean, this is not, I'm not surprised at all, because I've been through this myself, where you are on the break, you're on the verge of discovering this thing, but it's just, it's really destabilizing. Because it's almost like, you know, you don't know, it almost feels wrong what you're having to transform into, what you're having, because you're breaking away from this sense of convention. It's like, and I've heard it a lot when I've been researching about like narcissistic family dynamics, when the scapegoat of the family is starting to finally understand what they are and what their role is within the family, and then they're realizing how their family has treated them, and it's heartbreaking. And sometimes you just can't understand that. And your friends can see that, people around you can see that, you know, other people can see that, but you may have a real tough time in being able to understand that you've been treated this way. And that, you know, that your family of origin can really treat you like that. And it's interesting I picked that analogy because we've got the peacock here, which is the maternal line. So there's something to do with that here. And that's the bind. Because it's almost like they've given you so much, but you don't know how to like kind of like walk away from it. And it's not, I'm gonna just really hit home about this. It's not just the act of walking away that helps you, that is the superpower. That's not the superpower. The superpower, or the kind of like psychic power, is the fact that how you can walk away, but then you can come back into the situation without them noticing that there's anything different about you. That you can just kind of come in, but you can kind of like protect yourself in a way, because there's this kind of like toxic dynamic that's going on. I don't know whether or not it's to do with family. I'm just using family as an analogy. If this reading doesn't resonate, it's not your reading, please do go and pick another one. But this is what I'm seeing here, because we've got like, you know, there's just a lack of love here, and I'm seeing family. I don't know. I'm just seeing that. There's like burdens, there's family, there's kind of like, or maternal kind of influence that's going on. There's destabilization that's happening with the realization of power. There's an understanding that there's a need to walk away from this and to take what you can. But there's a complacency. And also almost like this opportunity has almost come round again and again and again in order for you to like, you know, to capitalize on it. But then what's going on now is that there's almost like no choice. You're going to have to do something about it. Which is usually the case, right? This, you know, usually we don't move unless we have to. But there's a real understanding of the honesty within one situation. Like you're starting to really understand that about yourself, which I think is really kind of giving rise to this spiritual gift. So, even though I said earlier that the act of you actually cutting yourself off or like separating is not the spiritual gift itself, what is more the spiritual gift here is about you being able to understand yourself more in your power and how you're able to come back to a situation where which comes back to the Agni Manitite, that you're able to show up in both situations without losing any of your sense of integrity. And that, trust me, is a superpower. It's an intense, like that's like Buddha, like next level things, because then that means that you will be able to expand your sense of compassion within the environment, even though they are not extending that to you. And that's a big thing. So, and it may not be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be like an amazing tarot reader, or I'm going to be like, oh, some famous astrologer, oh, I'm going to be really good at this. No, we're talking about these kind of abilities that are able to help you navigate through life, which really help you towards a step towards your own sense of self-realization and actualization and development. It's really powerful. Wow, Sun in Aquarius, opportunity. Well, I mean, readiness for change. This is something completely different. Like it's, you know, it's kind of like, it's giving me cycle breaker vibes. Cycle breaker is the type of person within a family dynamic that end up being the ones who do something completely different. They're the ones who don't adhere to the family traditions. They kind of like do something different. And that would be, you know, resonant with that Sun in Aquarius, because you're taking charge to change. And what a time as well, because we've got some powerful transits with Aquarius going on at the moment. Celebration, sacred ceremony, red jasper. Wow. So you're connecting with the depth of your ancestors, even though you may be walking away from, and it's, even though I've been talking about walking away from and from some kind of patterning, you are embracing, you know, and in this way you're almost celebrating yourself by doing this. So it's very powerful, Part 1, very powerful. Okay, so to close out the reading, I'm just going to pull one of these beautiful white light oracle cards, and this has gone on a lot longer than I anticipated, so let's see. Wow, Tantra. Okay, you see that, the Tantra of 639 hertz. Okay, let me just have a little look at that card. So as soon as I open the book, the first thing it says is that do not be afraid of things that may seem painful or difficult. things that may seem uncomfortable. Do not shy away from those things. And it's interesting because we've got like, it means unity, but this is a unity of self, even though we envisage that as like the kind of like sensual or sexual side of things, even though we've come towards this kind of like idea of separation with, that's what we appeared with. It's actually, how do we unite the two in a way that we actually really have, you know, integrity of both separate pieces? It's how do we integrate that? Because something is of many parts, and respecting that gives us the opportunity to be able to move forward in a way and advance in a way that we've never done before. So it's this kind of level of understanding that really helps you to push forward, I think, and enter into situations which you haven't done before. Helps you to work better in situations, helps you to stand up for yourself in situations in a way that helps you really be admired and also respected for your sense of integrity within that situation. So, pile 1, I hope that helped. That was a powerful reading and I really wasn't expecting it, but it was amazing. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe if you like this video. I've got a playlist of all other pick a card readings that are all timeless, so do check them out. But otherwise, my darlings, you take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, evening, morning, whenever you're choosing to watch this. If you did want a personal reading, do get in touch with me via email and I can send you some more details. But otherwise, my darlings, please take care and remember, honesty is always key. Bye. Pile 2, hello and welcome to your reading. So I've just noticed something. A candle's just gone out, so I just have to redress that. Bear with me. Apologies for that, pile 2. So you chose this gorgeous blue Falcon's Eye crystal and this card here, which we will find out now. Wow, Venus. Okay. Right, so number 4, we have Venus. We do also have this kind of like sense of turquoise that's here with the copper and the blue. Actually, yeah, that's more copper, and then that's the kind of blue that comes off of it when it rusts or turns or gets oxidized, basically. And then we have this beautiful kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but it's like kind of, there we go. You can see a tiny bit, but it just, I mean, tiger's eye, it's interesting. Tiger's eye kind of goes this color. And Falcon's Eye is exactly tiger's eye, but just with quartz inside it, and is slightly oxidized. So it turns this kind of blue color. Now, this is to do with the third eye. It's to do with developing intuition, also being able to look from further away. Now, because we've got these sections here, kind of like a rainbow, I'm just getting the feeling that you are starting to change your perspective on something which is allowing you to give more of a bird's eye, detached view from things that you had previously done so in the past. So what's really interesting is that it's almost like, because this is Falcon's Eye, it's about having that bird's eye view. It's about like kind of like looking at things from above. And with Venus in toe and here, it gives me the idea that you are moving towards just something more compassionate, something more loving, something where you can see the good in everything. And this is not like all woo-woo kind of like, oh yes, love and light, and it's all like hunky-dory and roses. This is actually understanding your compassion in how you look at things, and realizing that, you know, how to do that in a constructive way, rather than do it in a way that is making you, that kind of compromises you. Does that make sense? So let's have a look at some other cards. And Venus is a very passionate, it's the passion planet. It's about love and, you know, real kind of indulgence and beauty. So this is how you're looking at things. But because the Falcon's eye is there, it's almost saying to me that there is a sense of detachment. Like you're doing this in a way that kind of keeps you safe. So your psychic power or your psychic ability, gift that's coming to the forefront now, or that you're discovering, is a sense of detachment that you may not have had before to situations that you feel passionate about. Now that doesn't mean that you lose passion for them. It just means that you have a new perspective which helps you to be even more productive and, in a way, even more passionate about them. The Mountain. Wow. Gosh, look at all those colours. So 4 and 33. 33 is a master number. So I think this might be something that you have been working towards. You have been moving towards it. You have been hoping that you would be able to achieve this thing, to achieve this sense. It's not something that's just come out of the blue. It's something that you really have been working on, and you've been looking to do this. This is something that you've wanted, and you're finally starting to taste it and realize it. Because, right, if you feel passionate about something, there's a certain sense of blindness that can come from that. It's almost like you feel like you're it's being too much in a situation, too much in it for you to move beyond it, you know, or to look at it more objectively. You're always going to have more power if you look over it, if you look at it more objectively. Pisces. Wow. Yeah, you're really doing something special. And another candle just went out, so bear with me. So my loves, this must be pretty significant, because with Pisces as well as Venus and the Mountain, I just feel like this is a power of high attainment. Like you can't just go, oh yeah, I'm born with this. This is something that needs to be developed over time. It requires dedication, passion, and love in order for you to do it. I think that's what's happening. So maybe also you've been practicing this for a while. Maybe you have meditated daily. You've been doing like certain things where you've actually, you know, wanted to get yourself up to a certain level, a certain way of being, a certain kind of, I don't know, like it just feels like you've been working towards this, pile 2. Yeah, it does. Okay, right. Do I have any other cards for you? No, I'm going to go on with the tarot. So let's have a look. What spiritual gifts, what psychic gift are you discovering right now? So it's something to do with perception, to do with how you perceive situations. It's almost like you've reached another level of understanding. The only thing I can describe it to is after I'd done like maybe a couple of meditation courses, and then I started to get this overall kind of detachment. But I was really passionate, and I am really passionate about my meditation. It's probably the one thing that I feel really passionate about, because it's so good for me. And I feel that you've been working really hard at something. You may have been practicing tarot every day. You may have been you may have been practicing like tarot. You may have been practicing, you know, breathing exercises. You may have been doing, yeah, something that has caused you to kind of excel in this. Okay, so we've got the King of Pentacles reversed. We've got the Six of Wands. We've got the Queen of Wands, which is the Goddess of Fire. And Bastet there. Let me just move that over there. We've got the Ace of Wands. Interesting. Wow. Okay. I think I know what's going on. And then the Seven of Wands. Okay. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. No, Seven of Swords. Interesting. Seven of Swords, Seven of Swords. Okay, so I feel like you have been, I don't know if you've been like maybe denying yourself of like certain things, pleasures, stuff like that. You may have actually had a particular kind of lifestyle previously and you've decided that you don't want to do this anymore. That may have been the trigger for you to like have gone down this path, for you to develop this psychic gift. Because with the six says to me success, like that there's been this sense of like you actually having some success and being able to overcome it. And you've managed to get pretty far with it. But there has been a cost. There's been a price. Like you've had to maybe... Now, when you go through these kind of spiritual practices, it's very common for you to do something like, say, for example, abstain from sexual activity, abstain from alcohol, abstain from like certain things. For those who are watching the video when I release it, you know, in the Christian tradition, you've got like 40 days of Lent where usually you would fast or you would do something to kind of give up, you know, abstain from something so that you could kind of show your dedication to God. That would be, there's something very much going on here from a space of where that you were quite indulgent previously, but now, you know, you've kind of, so it's almost, if you want to look at it on a more mundane level, you could see that you maybe did like, you know, dry January, and then now you've decided that you're going to go and you're going to abstain from that. The only thing I would say is don't fool yourself and work within your limits. We're going to look a bit more into that. But I mean, it's almost like you've kind of like jumped up to a level where you feel like, yeah, I've really got it. And by all means, I think you really have attained some kind of high level of, you know, psychic ability in this respect, whatever it is. I mean, in terms of this kind of like understanding perception of the world, that's what I feel it is, because it feels like it comes from above to look down from a position where you were previously. The only thing is that like I don't really see any trouble with ego here, which is interesting. The only thing I see an issue with is like being honest with oneself. Now there's two things I can see. It's either being honest with oneself and watching out for your own behavior and checking yourself, or it could be that you can see that in other people. I've got a feeling it's both, because if you're able to see that in yourself, you're able to see it in other people. And not only that, you're able to check yourself and not rise with your ego. So that's like some next level like monk stuff, man. Like you are like, you're doing some amazing stuff. It's really good. Really good. I love it. Particularly with that Goddess of Fire, because that's like total sexuality. But then you've got that Ace of Wands reversed. That means that you're kind of like able to suppress it. Now, that says to me that you're able to like not cave into the desires of this. I will say this with a caveat though. These are all minor arcana, okay? So you're still on the earthly plane, all right? But you are achieving some big stuff. Like, so, okay, let me put this in context because it sounds a bit like, I don't know how you can put this into reality. Like, I mean, I need to give you an example in order for you to do it. So what I mean is that, as I said, like there was indulgences, like maybe you would like, just for an example, maybe this was someone that was drinking or like doing lots of stuff. They were drinking, you know, doing lots of narcotics, you know, just not living a healthy life. And then they've decided that they're going to turn around and they're going to do that dry January. And then that's kind of like given impetus to kind of move forward and suppress other things. And also, you know, do it for their own health. But there's like, you know, you're starting to realize where, oh, there it is. You're starting to realize where you've been honest with yourself and where you haven't been. Because all I'm seeing now really is the Six of Swords. And then you've got this 7 that's kind of going up towards the sky. Now, this is upright, so it still means that you are aware of where you're fooling yourself and where you're actually being true to yourself. But that in itself is an amazing awareness. It's fantastic. So I think that's what's happening with you, Pile. Too. I don't know. Did that clarify? I hope it did, because that. Yeah. I think that kind of puts it into context for the kind of real world, you know, rather than being all esoteric. Wow, look at that. Okay, here we go. We've got the big boys coming out now. So yes, it's been something that's happened in like, you know, with yourself, but it's taken a lot of work. I'm sorry. Earlier I thought it might, because I didn't see any major here. I was thinking, you know, it's not changing dramatically, but it actually is. So we've got the 0. Now 0 is the Fool in this deck, but here we have Death, because this deck deals with the transitionary phase between life and death. So, you know, you're starting on a new kind of journey with you know, your sense of understanding. There's a lot of wands here, 3 of embers. So, and it's very fast. I think that's why I was thinking, like, where's the groundedness? And because the only grounded energy that we had, the god of earth, I usually see that as the devil, when it's reversed. So what I'm thinking here is that you're coming into an awakening. I think you're having a spiritual awakening, Pile 2. You may be having something of that sort. And if it's not, it might be a mini one. Wow, look at that, the ace here. We get the ace this way. Okay. So the Ace of Embers is clarifying the Goddess of Fire. The Ace of Embers is this card, the Ace of Wands, upright. So there's something that you're definitely doing right. Definitely doing right. Let's see. Map of life. That's the 10. Okay, right. I see what's going on. Wow. All the major arcanas came to clarify. So they've been the influencing factor on your kind of day-to-day life. I'm sorry about that. It actually is something that is pretty intense, because but you know what it is? It's just gone on under the surface. Pisces is the 12th house of the zodiac, so you know, I think that's probably why I was feeling that it's deep, but then it might not be. But everything with Pisces is deep. You know, sometimes you just can't see it as clearly. And because we had minor arcana here, I just kind of thought, okay, we're just dealing with something that's kind of like surface level. But now we look deeper and we can see that there's been like big change where you've had to make a decision about whether or not you're going to take yourself more seriously in what you're doing. Because I think you understand that there is more at stake. The Ace of Wands being reversed here means that the time may not be right for you to do something that you wanted to do. So maybe you wanted to go on and you wanted to do some kind of retreat or something like that. Or maybe you wanted to take a step further into your practice, or there was a next step, a next level that isn't quite the right time right now. But it will come again. It will come again. Now, I will just, as nah, what I said before about making sure that you keep your ego about you, I'm gonna stick by that, because we've got the vessel here. Now, the vessel here is the devil in this deck. So what it's almost like, what I see here is that, oh, I've done all of this stuff, and it's like, oh my God, I've reached this thing. And I've reached this level of enlightenment. No, it doesn't work like that. In meditation, I'll give you an example, particularly with insight meditation. There's a stage which is called Bunga, which is a dissolution of self, which is, if you go to one of these 10-day meditations, and the third one's just gone out, bear with me. So this stage called Bunga is where the body just dissolves into nothingness, because you've attained like a stage of like where you're able to observe your body in its actual absolute natural form. People think that that's enlightenment, but actually what it is a very low stage where you think you've reached something which feels blissful, and then you get attached to that sense of bliss, and you think that that's it. And that's where you come crumbling down, and then you realize how much attachment you've got to the bliss. And that's when you start to realize that it's the cravings that we have in life, which is the real suffering. Like the things that we want in life, they are the things we suffer for. Because if we didn't want in our lives, then we wouldn't be suffering. You know, if there wasn't things that we craved, then we wouldn't be suffering. Now, that's another debate for another thing. I know that might some of you might be like, yeah, but if I didn't want anything, Reena, how would I live? I know. I this is the paradox. And I'm not completely versed enough to be able to have that discussion, but I understand it. The only thing is just keeping ourselves in check, like in terms of when we are craving something or we're craving an outcome, and when we need to step back and just be like, okay, we need to reconsider something. We need to understand it. We need to talk about it. We need to think about it. We need to think about why we're craving that chocolate biscuit. We need to think about why we're craving that person. We need to think about why we're craving that stage of enlightenment, and why we want to have been doing some kind of like, you know, there's always going to be somebody that's ahead of us. And there's that sense of that attainment of the goal. And I think that's what's happening here. It's almost like thinking that you've attained a goal and you've reached a stage. And believe me, I have been victim to this. I've gone through this. Nothing that I say, like my advice that I give through these cards, I'm telling you, most of the time I've been through it. Like in terms of like these personal development things in some way or another, not particularly with the example as such. But there's this idea of attainment, and that's what that vessel is. It's like, oh, the Holy Grail. But it's not about the Holy Grail, it's about what the Holy Grail stood for, isn't it? So there's that kind of context that's going on here. So it's a very powerful lesson, Pile 2. Very powerful gift you've got here. Exceptionally powerful. You've got big stuff going on. But yeah, I think it's important just to remember that, to be humble and not to become too attached to it, because there is definitely risk here. Okay. Transformation, look at that snake. Sheen Obsidian, I love that. Oh, I love Sheen Obsidian, and it's 31 and number 4. Wow. You are definitely having some kind of like amazing spiritual awakening, Pile 2. And I'll just let you know that this comes with the territory. Like this comes with this. Like it's standard. This is part of the territory. It happens. And then you are humbled again, and then you go through it again. but then you become even more so, and then you're like, wow, I didn't realize that I could even become more than I was before. Eclipse in Scorpio, regeneration. Stand firm in the eye of the storm. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, and your last card to close out the reading wow, Archon Barbello. Wow. Wow. Okay, bear with me 1 second. So this card actually is identifying with an androgynous character, an androgynous figure. And even though it looks female, it kind of like, it's saying that it identifies with both genders. But the main thing is that she encourages you, or Archon Barbello encourages you to stay true to yourself, regardless of experiences that you may be going through. So even if you are going through this like kind of like spiritual awakening or whatever, that doesn't make you who you are. You know, how you decide to recover from those situations is what makes you who you are. How you decide to step forward, the choices that you make on going from this situation helps you to become who you're meant to be. That defines you, you know, what choices you make. So the choice of you to understand that you may be getting ahead of yourself in terms of like when you feel like, oh yeah, I've gone through all this big transformation and I am the big I am, but then maybe understanding that actually, no, I need to humble myself and come back to or something, or just remember, actually, I recognize that I'm being this way, but now I'm able to kind of bring myself back because I know I'm just going to have to climb the mountain again, or I'm just going to have to go back on the Ouroboros. I'm going to have to go back on the merry-go-round again. I think I've said it before in my readings, but like sometimes, you know, the dark night of the soul, when we go through like consistent, like, you know, workings of the soul, it's like you'll have your dark night of the soul, like loyalty card stamped like several times, because you'll be having done this over and over and over again. And I think, I don't know, you may have gone, this may be like either your first time or maybe it might be your second or third, I don't know. But there's still some like kind of dissolution with ego where you've got these going on here. So there's something about this time you being able to go through it and you being able to transmute it even better than you did before, and actually giving yourself the humbling experience to be able to do that, because it gets easier once you know how to do that. And I think that's what you're doing. You're kind of assimilating that. So in a way, Pile 2, you're not really achieving like some kind of spiritual gift or power. You're more likely actually going through a transitionary phase that is more like a spiritual awakening, which may lead to more gifts and more. The main thing really here is heightened awareness. That's the one thing I'm seeing more than anything. And bigger lessons in awareness. So, Pile 2, I hope you enjoyed that reading. It was a powerful reading. These readings have been really powerful, more powerful than I expected. So thank you so much for letting me read your energy. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed this reading and you wanted to see some other readings. My details are down below if you wanted to have a personal reading. But otherwise, my darlings, have a beautiful morning, day, night, whenever you're choosing to watch this. And remember, honesty is always key. Hello, Pile 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose this beautiful Unakite stone. And I feel like you are coming into a sense of liberation, understanding parts of yourself. It almost feels that it's almost like you're becoming one of those X-Men that's realizes their power and is finally coming to terms with how powerful they actually are and what this means for them. Starting to love parts of yourself that you maybe hadn't accepted previously. And if you had done, you're becoming more in love with yourself and loving more of what you have to offer in this world and understanding what part it has to play. Sugar. Wow. I might have to look at the book for this because I'm really curious to see what it says. But look at that card. Sugar. I just got that song. Sugar, sugar, you're my candy girl. Oh, I'm not going to sing anyway. But yeah, 31 equals to 4. Sweet and crystalline. Interesting. I want to look at the book. Bear with me. Okay, so what this card symbolizes is the idea that we have a lot of things in our lives, particularly in today's lifestyle, life culture, that can be artificial sweetness, that can be, you know, highly addictive, let's just say, because sugar is the sweetness of life. It represents the sweetness. The things that give us joy, the things that heal us, the things that make us feel happy. But then when we have too much of that, it can actually hinder us and cause us harm, which is really interesting for you to have the Unakite here. So it's almost like, and I don't know if some of you are battling some kind of addiction or anything like that, you are starting to finally come to terms with that. You're starting to actually see, can you believe it, what power it gave you. Like almost understanding the power of the pleasure, because when I just quickly looked in the book, it said about the power of aversion and craving, which if you're attracted to pile 2, go and have a look, because that's all about that. So that's really interesting. It's almost like you're transmuting this power. I'll give you an example. I had a friend of mine who was addicted to Coke and the white stuff and not the brown stuff. And she said she started to train doing physical exercise, and now she is like so fit, like you wouldn't believe it. It's just crazy how fit she is. So and then a lot of people that she met actually used to be addicts, and they used to do stuff like that. But then they've channeled this energy into their health and maintaining their health. And, well, not even so much their health, but more so exercise. So that's really helped them to channel this energy in a constructive way. So I just thought that was an interesting way to look at it. Let's have a look at what the other cards have to say, though. And FYI, this substance, sugar, is 20 times more addictive than cocaine or coke. So it's just, yeah. Anyway, hopefully that will be okay. I hope, yeah, I hope that I just slipped by then. I meant to say Coca-Cola or Coke, you know, like, because I don't know what it's like on the videos now, whether or not. We'll see what happens with this video. Hopefully it will stay up. Okay, so you've got the crone. So there's a real sense of maturity coming here, a real sense of realization about what your situation has brought to you. Yeah. This is an advanced, I mean, all of them are advanced, but this one is kind of, it's almost like you'd already been through pile 2 and now you're here, which I often say a lot with my pile 3s. Mercury reversed. You might not have been able to tell anyone about this. You might not have been able to talk to anyone about this. You've just had to kind of just keep on working through with it. What I'm imagining is somebody who is like an alcoholic or something like that. Addicted, because alcohol is addictive. Yeah, and somebody who's had to go through like kind of like 12-step programs and do their own thing without really telling anybody, because this is also number 13, so there's a real sense of transformation, but you just haven't been able to communicate with people about it because maybe they won't understand like where you've had to come from, where you've come from. It also lends itself to the idea of this stone, which makes me think that, you know, you've just got a really calm and balanced view. I always get a very calming, soothing sense from this Unakite. So, and, you know, especially with crone as well. So I think, and it's interesting, 31 and 13. So it's almost like you've seen stuff that you know, the maturity that is here allows you not to get, you know, you're just pretty calm about stuff, particularly when things haven't been communicated. This card has come up for every pile, so the 7 of Swords is a big thing. What have we got? God of Water. That's interesting, considering I was talking about okay, right. So we have the 5 of Wands reversed. We have the 7 of Swords reversed. We have the God of Water, which is the King of Cups reversed. We have the 5 of Cups upright. And then we have the 10 of Wands. No, sorry, the 9 of Wands reversed. I definitely think this is an overcoming of some kind of addiction. It feels like it. It feels like it's some kind of price as well. Maybe there was this kind of understanding that you know, you were coming to a point where you weren't able to cope within situations dealing with other people. It could also be that you were in with a bad crowd, and that lifestyle is not what you want to do anymore. Very, very similar to pile 2, actually. Like kind of coming away from like having a kind of almost spiritual awakening. I think that's what it is. But this is more apparent. I can see this being, it's actually coming more so from an addiction more than a, whereas pile 2 is more a lifestyle and like a kind of like generalized lifestyle choice. This is an addiction. This is something different. Whatever you're addicted to, you could be addicted to exercise. Yeah, right. You could be. You could be addicted to things that are good for you, coffee, whatever. I don't know. But there's something that you are transcending and you're able to move beyond. You haven't been able to like communicate it with many people. In fact, it's actually stopped you from communicating with other people. In a way, some people might have felt that you have been ostracizing yourself. Now, there could be 2 ways. It could be that you stop the addiction and then that ends up like you being more kind of away from the people that you used to be, or that the people that you used to be with are the ones who are perpetuating the addiction or perpetuating the lifestyle which you want to get away from. I think it's more that, to be honest, but the other scenario could resonate. You've also got this Seven of Swords. There's just a brutal honesty. And I definitely feel like there's a walking away from that kind of lifestyle. And then you've got the God of Water, which is the King of Cups reversed. I wouldn't be surprised that this kind of thing, if you stay within this space of non-communication and also like kind of like almost like trying to hide away something, that you end up becoming, the emotions become too overwhelming. You know, what's really interesting is that we've got this beautiful, you know, the beautiful hair of the God of Water, but then it overcomes the god. So the god is no longer conquering the water, it's the other way around. I always see the God of Water reversed, the King of Cups reversed, as Poseidon just going nuts. Like he can't handle, he can't sustain himself, he can't stabilize himself, because it is a male figure, something that's trying to be male with the emotions. And that's something that just doesn't work, because when it comes to water and stone, water will always win. Water will always eventually wear the stone and will be more powerful than stone in that respect. Stone may last, don't get me wrong, but water will always wear it down. So there's just an understanding. I think you're coming to a like kind of understanding with this. And I don't know if like there's a walking away from some kind of like, you know, you may have had like a strong attachment to that. And there may have been some understanding that this had made you, I really don't see this as a, like where you were previously in terms of like being embroiled in this sense of like, you know, it does feel like addiction, but it seems like you were in it. That doesn't feel very, very nice. There are people that will stand by you, but it's kind of like, you know, you understand the consequences of your own actions. So you're moving forward with that. I don't even think that you may think that that's a superpower or like some kind of like psychic power. You're like, what are you talking about, Reena? But to be someone that overcomes that, pile 3, is legendary. Like, this is a form of battling your own demons within yourself. Because this is a bit of a demon, you know. And that, the Unakite does give me that sense of like battling dragons. And this is a bit Gandalf-y, you know. So Gandalf's gone through some stuff, you know. For those of you who don't know Lord of the Rings, or Gandalf is from Lord of the Rings. And he's a bad man. he's amazing. But he's been through a lot. And he's had to go through that. But he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't tell, like, he doesn't say what's going on. And not only that, like, what's really interesting is that he knows that he can't be the ring bearer. So the idea of the Lord of the Rings, you know, Gandalf can't be the ring bearer, because he knows that his desire for power will overtake him. So he understands his own personal limits within that. So it isn't to say that, you know, you're weak. In fact, for you to understand that you've got an addiction or you've got something that you could be a slave to, and then you decide not to be, that, my friends, is some real power there. What does it mean going forward in terms of a psychic ability? It means that you can understand situations where others get in a space where they may be addicted or they may be succumbing to their sugar. And not only that, you have a heightened perception and awareness of how good it is when you can have it within a sustained and controlled amount. The Weaver, that is the, I think, sugar. I might have to just check what that is. Okay, so that is the Page of Swords. Page of Swords reversed. Interesting. So what I'm getting from this card, which is not, I'll put the meaning of the Page of Swords over it, over the top, but what I'm getting is like, there's almost this thing where they're looking at the book or they're looking at whatever this is and doing this stuff, and they're not actually anticipating what kind of, what this is actually doing. Reversed says to me, you know what it does. So I don't know, I feel like you know what this does to people. You almost know like what this stuff can do to people, whatever you were addicted to, or whatever this sugar is, you know. And we get it in spiritual practices, all right? We get it in the sense that when people start to become initiated as shamans or initiated within spiritual practices, the power of and the influence of what they have is it can be quite intoxicating, you know? So it's almost like you understand that awareness. That's why I feel like this is like you after you've been through pile 2. It's really interesting. 7 of Swords is clarified by the Geomancer. That is the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, this is interesting. You're getting court cards. The 7 of Lotuses. Wow, 7 of Cups. So you've got 2 7s there. That's reversed. You've got the Mender. That is the Queen of Cups. Yeah, you're like, what's going on with these people? Okay, so there's people involved here. Wow, Infinite Paths. That's 19. I think that is the Moon. No, is it the Moon? One sec. Even better, it's the Sun. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords reversed, the Geomancer, which is the Queen of Pentacles, the 7 of Lotuses reversed, the Mender, which is the Queen of Cups, and then we have the Infinite Paths, which is the Sun. I don't know, pile 3. You might have done something that you want to reconcile for. And I think, you know, you understand the error of your ways. And you understand that you want to be able to fix it. And I think you truly believe that you can fix it. And I believe you can fix it. But it's almost like a realization. It's really interesting because it's similar to pile 2, but not the same. It's similar to a spiritual awakening, but actually it's more of a it's more of a realization. It's more about like going through the hell and coming out of it. And understanding. So it could even be like one of those types of people that have been through, for example, prison or something, and they decide to teach young people about the dangers of what happened to them, and they're able to teach these people not to make those same mistakes again. That's a really dramatic, like a really kind of like high level example I've given you, or like extreme example I've given you, but I think the stakes are quite similar because there's a reality here, a reality check here, and it may have been that was lost previously, particularly with this Weaver reversed, because it's almost like somebody who did something quite silly in their youth. And they regretted it, you know, and then now they've decided that they want to show others. I do feel like there is a sharing here because you've got 2 queens, and that says to me that there's this giving. And that you've gone through a real transformation of helping yourself. And I think that that's really inspirational to others. Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. So the spiritual gift or the spiritual power that you are realizing or discovering now is that you are a lot more balanced and stronger than you were previously, from an event that could have really turned out differently, like seriously differently. If that doesn't resonate, then this is not your pile, but it feels like your life could have gone a very different way, and you've turned it around so that it can go, you can make something brilliant out of it, you know. I'm so curious as to what that is. Gosh, please let me know in the comments down below, pile 3. I'm really excited about that. Okay. Beauty, autumn, udilite. Wow. Another stone which kind of like, because it's black with like these beautiful like red specks in it. So it's these kind of like these alternate colors which appear within each other. There's a real sense of transitioning into something so beautiful, and really appreciating the beauty of your journey. And I think people will mirror that to you in a way. I wouldn't be surprised if you start to meet people as well, that really help you to, I don't know, it's like fate. It's almost like that you wouldn't meet them if you hadn't gone through what you'd gone through, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just feel like magic is going to really, if it hasn't already, I feel like magic is just going to enter in your life because you just seem to be in that space now, particularly with that crone. Moon in Gemini, indecision. Should I stay or should I go? I'm going to put that there, actually. Okay, interesting. The Moon in Gemini, I mean, like, what I'm taking from that Moon in Gemini card is that you're at a crossroads. But I don't think that you're in a crossroads. I think you know which direction you're going to go in. I think you've got that. You've got that already. It's not about whether or not you should stay or should go. It's about seeing where you've been and now you're going this way. Does that make sense? Part 3. Wow. Okay. I really hope I'm making that clear for you, because it's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to be like psychic. I mean, initially, right, I thought with this card, was it with this card? I don't know, like with one of the other decks, I thought it was like that they were going to be like remote viewers. And that's what I thought that the power was going to be. It wasn't that at all. But, you know, when I first looked at it, but then when I just saw I don't know, when I tuned into the energy of the stone and what it was truly telling me, then I realised that no, it's actually something a little bit, it's not as fanciful as that, you know? It might sound really cool. Oh, yeah, I can remote view. I mean, you can train yourself to do that. That's no problem. And that might be something that was, you know, that does come. But this is more about experience and what you do with it. Because there are a lot of people that have experience and they don't use it, okay? So this isn't like, oh, yeah, like, oh, I've just got experience. No. This is something else. In fact, I can actually give you another example. I knew someone who suffered incredible abuse when they were younger. Even wrote a book about it, actually. And he completely, like, when he got put into prison for drugs offences, and then, you know, after having suffered such a abusive childhood, and then he came out, and he ended up creating a company which employed people who had been in prison because nobody would employ them. And he ended up doing some massive work within the community and was on TV and everything for it. And he's actually he's a big entrepreneur. So there's that thing where he's managed to transmute like something, and he's completely teetotal, completely clean, you know, does so much work for the community, you know, is just really, really involved in that respect. So that's an example of how things can turn around, you know, for people, even though they've been through this thing, you know. So that's something to consider. Okay, to close out your reading, pile 3, we've got, wow, Cupido Dissolvi. Cupido Dissolvi, wow. Okay. You got 2. All the other piles got 1. And you got Shaktipat of Seahorse. Wow, that's like really interesting. Okay, I'm going to look these up because I don't know these off by heart. Sorry. Wow, pile 3. So these 2 are really interesting, considering the whole story that I just told you. Okay, so with that as an example, this card, Cupio Dissolvi, means for you to let go and to allow yourself to let go of situations that you cannot control, and to just be at one with the universe. Like, just be like, right, okay, I'm just letting it go. I'm leaving this. This is out of my hands. I'm not going to deal with this. And the Shaktipat of Seahorse is about you not adhering to environments that are not conducive for your growth. So if you are trying to fit in into some kind of space where you are not, you know, you're not trying, you know, basically it's almost like a square peg in a round hole, almost, you know. And this is what this power seems to have given you. It's almost like you've evolved into a space of such a high level of understanding about yourself and where you've come from that you can't stay where you were. You have to go. You've got 2 queens here, the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. This is balance with emotions and also understanding and truth and groundedness and being actually a home to yourself. You don't need like other people to do that for you. So I think you're going to be communicating this to other people to help them to understand that, which just kind of resonates with what I was saying about the idea of you know, that person that I spoke of, that they are creating this, you know, space for people who are like them to be prosperous just as much as they are. So it's really interesting, pile 3. Yeah, you're really coming into your power, like from a real place of you know, it's really interesting from a real place of you were in a deficit and now you're kind of like now you're just in a space of giving, you know. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. It's almost like you understand the dynamics of what this thing. I also am thinking, because June 2 is getting released really soon, and I just watched the first one, the idea of this drug spice and what this spice melange actually does. Even though people are addicted to it, things need to function on it. So how do you manage it? And that's what's going on here. You're understanding how to manage it in a way that not many people do. And that, in a way, is a really big power, like a spiritual power, because that means not only control of self, but it's evolution of self. Pile 3, I hope you enjoyed that reading. That was banging. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe for more videos. But otherwise, my darlings, this has been an absolute honour to read your energy. Thank you so much for allowing me to do so. Have a wonderful morning, evening, night, whenever you're choosing to watch this. Morning, evening, day, whenever you're choosing to watch this. But otherwise, my darlings, you take care. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, morning, night, after you watch this. And I shall see you very soon. If you want a private reading, please do get in touch by my email address. But otherwise, remember, honesty is always key. Bye.